for Footballers Only. This is all about the beautiful game, football. On here, we talk to players before they become professionals. We talk to professionals, we talk to coaches, and we talk to fans of the game. We also cover hot topics and present our views on football news. For Footballers Only is brought to you by the DC11 Project. You can learn more by going to dcxiproject.com. Welcome to another episode of For Footballers Only. I'm Mike Idiokitas.
I'm James Pinay.
And today we have a special guest.
Niara Sapp.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Yes. Let's just get right into it. Where does your football story begin?
Kindergarten. We had like a rec soccer team from my school, Murray, and then it was just kind of like our whole class had a soccer team in it. The soccer team went on to our senior year, but I went from the rec team to playing travel with Stoddard, and then on to playing McLean and then in college. But it started with that rec team.
How long did you play with that rec team?
I think like fourth or fifth grade. I think like parents, like the coach was like a parent, and he started like talking to my dad and my mom, like she needs to be on like a travel team. So then that's when I kind of took it to the next level for that.
Did you know what a travel team was then?
I knew it was like kind of a big deal because it was always like either you play rec or travel, and it was like travel is like fancy, you have like the soccer bag, the ball in the back. So I like knew about it. Yeah.
Wow, it's funny. Like I never thought like the way a kid would think about it, like how you just explain it. It's just crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean that's what it is. Okay. So like fifth grade is when you transition to a travel program to start it, right?
I think fourth or fifth grade, yeah.
Yeah. And then you did how long did you stay at Stoddard?
I think I did rec and travel at that time.
Okay.
And then I stayed with Stoddard until ninth grade. And like some of my teammates from Murray's varsity team was like, you need to switch clubs if you want to take soccer more seriously. So that's when I went to McLean.
Nice. Okay.
So
hold that thought. Okay. Yeah, James.
I was going to ask. So who first introduced you to football?
Well, my dad was a football player, like American football.
Okay.
And like neither of my parents really know anything about soccer until I like showed interest in it. But I think I was watching like the Olympics or the World Cup when I was 5, and I was like, I want to do that. Like I want to get, I want to play like them. And then that's when I was like, and that's when we found like that my school had a rec team. But it was kind of just like I saw it on TV and I was like, I want to do that.
Wow.
That's the first.
I mean, but that's the power of media.
That's
right? Like you just see it and then you're like, oh, I really like that. Okay, so when you saw that, who was your idol? Or maybe let's say after that. Did you have a football idol? Like
Marta.
Nice.
I think that was the game I was watching where I was like, I want to play like how she dribbles and stuff.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough. Okay. That's a true legend. All right. Now that you said that, I'm gonna ask you a question. And this question, given that you have a football background, you're surrounded by footballers, all over the place. No matter what you say, there's no right answer, is what I'm going to say. So people might get at you, but that's part of being a baller. The question is, who's in your top 11 footballers of all time?
See, I can't really say I watch that much football to like really give a top of my favorites.
Yeah, your favorite.
And I think I would say I watch more like college soccer, and I wouldn't really know their names
Yeah.
Huh.
to give that.
How much do you? I mean, so you have Marta. Is there anyone else you
Yeah.
used to watch?
Um, I'd say Marta. Um, who else? And then I feel like just like the black players on the national team
The
were
U.S.
like just
national team.
people, yeah, were people who I was just like interested in because it was like the only people I see like reflect how I look.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then eighth grade, I went to the World Cup that was in Canada, and like me and my mom does not understand football or soccer, but we were like rooting for France because we didn't realize how many black girls they had on that team. So I would say like the black girls on the national team and the black girls on the France national team.
Yeah. Do you know their names? I mean, I probably I could help you with the names of the U.S. national team. The black,
like
the black
Sydney
players.
LaRue,
Yeah.
Kristen Press,
Yeah.
Mallory Pugh.
Yeah.
Oh, I really liked. She's like a young Brazilian who just joined
Yeah.
the U.S. national team.
From the girl from Stanford.
Yeah, I watched her a lot in college.
Yeah.
Who else?
Dunn.
Oh yes, Crystal Dunn. I watched her a lot through college and then onto the national team. And then the girl from France is like really tall and has like a Afro puff. I'm not sure what her name is though.
Okay. So this is an assignment. We have to find out
Yeah.
the top.
I'll also say a lot of the girls on the Canadian soccer team who played at West Virginia.
Okay.
Were people who I watched a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, you already touched on this a couple of times, but let's just go into it. Which is, you have an affinity, not just you, but I guess your household for black players, right? So you're looking in particular for black players, and one, just double click on that, and then also, after we initially just talk about that, I want to go into your your playing career and what was the impact of that, right? Like, what did you notice? Those kind of things. So first, just double click on your affinity for, like, you're always looking for the the black players or whatever the team is. I guess you say, the Brazilian team or France or the US or Canada, etc. So
I think it's kind of just like natural to like find people who look like you. Because then it's like you can see yourself doing what they're doing. And then I think also it's kind of like the black players that you see in soccer are all kind of like, I feel like when they make it to that point, it's like, this might be like stereotypical, but like they're the fast players, like they're the goal scorers, they're like crafty players. And I kind of like, that's how I play. So it's very easy for me to be like, she looks like me, she plays like me, like, and just like have her as a like favorite player.
yeah. Okay. So let's talk about even at Stoddard, right? So at Stoddard, you start playing there. What was the scene like? And what was your I mean, I know it's tough to kind of put yourself in that place now, but like when you first, got into that scene, what was it like, and what was you noticing, and how did you feel being who you were?
I would say growing up, I had it pretty good because on starter it was like a very diverse team. Like it was like I was never like the only black girl. It would be like 4 or 5 of us since like fourth grade to ninth grade. It was like a good number of black girls, and then McLean, it was a good number of black girls. And when I got to college, it was like a handful of us. So I feel like growing up on teams, it was like I always had a couple buddies that like were Black. Mm-hmm. So I feel like growing up, it wasn't like the same, like, because I feel like me and my mom talk about this a lot, but like soccer is very like pay to play. So once you get to a certain level, it's like you kind of have to go to the suburbs to play on a good team. But I feel like I was lucky because DC started was like it was just like a lot of crafty players in my age group. And then we kind of went on to play like for ECNL and stuff when we got to high school. But it was like I was able to play with crafty players from like 4th grade to 9th grade. And it wasn't like I needed to go to the suburbs to get that level of play in until like I guess I got older. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Do you feel like the racial aspect in any way impacted your game?
I'd say I don't think really it had an effect on my game. But I think there's also like a lot of aspects of how that may affect you, but I don't think like borderline like it really affected much of my play because it wasn't like if it was a racial thing, it was like the other team is like all white. It was never like my team is I'm the only Black girl. Like I have to kind of play through that, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to like you're at McLean and then what's the next step? How was your your playing career at McLean, and then how did you transition from there to go play college ball?
I would say at McLean, it was I would say well like I don't know if this is racially or more like socioeconomic stuff, but it was like I was very new to McLean, so it was like the coaches would kind of focus more on the older players and getting them into like this college stuff, and it was kind of like I really had to hustle to get to the next level, and I didn't really commit until like senior year, but like a lot of the girls on my team committed like sophomore year of high school, so that's kind of where I saw like I guess the socioeconomic portion of it, and also just like kind of is race too because like I'm from Southeast, like I'm not from McLean or Virginia, so it's like very out of the way for me to go play for like a McLean team. So that, yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, talk about the transition playing, club ball to playing college ball.
I'd say for McLean, it wasn't very much different, and it was kind of surprising because it's like you go your whole life like trying to get to this level, and it's like it's not that much different from club. And I think I was also very kind of privileged to play on the McLean team that I was on because it was like a lot of the girls, like the whole team kind of went Division I, so it was kind of like you're set up for you to go to college and not to be that different. So the transition wasn't that like crazy for me as I would think. Like I thought it was going to be like a whole different ball game, but it was kind of the same atmosphere.
So you're saying not just the atmosphere on the team at McLean, but the competition that you faced, on other teams in college was similar to the competition you faced while playing club?
Pretty much, yeah. Aside from like the top teams like UCF, USF, Memphis, those type of teams, but yeah, I'd say like pretty much it was kind of the same level.
Yeah. So I want to touch back, like especially going to McLean from starter, and you say like you grew up in like Southeast, going to McLean. Did it do anything with like with your mental while you was playing with McLean?
Other than like it was like a 30-minute drive, but I feel like also I've grown up as like a 3-sport athlete, so I'm used to kind of going from soccer practice to soccer practice or basketball practice to soccer practice. So I'm kind of used to that, like I need to get my work done. I need to like get on the metro and stuff like that. I will say, like with Stoddard, it was like the practice was at Murray, where I went to school, so it was like I didn't have to go anywhere. But for McLean, it was like I'd have to metro home and then drive to McLean. So I guess like I would be very tired throughout the week.
Okay. Did you ever play with Coach Mohan on Starter?
No, actually, I played with him over the summers.
Okay.
But he's become like, yeah, he feels like a coach, but I never actually got coached by him.
Okay.
Nice. You mentioned you played three. You were a 3-sport athlete. What are your other sports?
I played basketball, lacrosse, softball for like a year, and then baseball when I was younger.
Well, what position you played in basketball?
Point guard.
Nice.
I didn't understand basketball that well.
Oh,
you said you did not?
I was more like a just natural athlete, so I would just like do what I wanted to. But like when it got to like varsity level, I was like, I do not know what I'm doing.
Well, what position you playing in soccer?
Forward and midfield.
So I always ask, because I always like to compare basketball and soccer. So, like you say, you play point guard in basketball. Is it with your opinion, you think it's very point guard and a midfield? Is it similar?
I think it is. I think what I didn't like that much about it is like you'd have to run all the plays. And I think what I like most about soccer is just like I can be creative and just kind of do whatever works.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite basketball player?
I've watched Melo ball like throughout his career, so I think just watching his growth is really cool. So I'd say he's one of my favorite players right now. And I think I forgot his name, but I like him more for like his style. I never really watched him play.
Who?
But I forgot his name. I forgot.
Is he currently playing?
No, he's like an older player.
Iverson. Allen Iverson.
With cornrow braids.
No, he like always dyed his hair and had like piercing.
Oh, Dennis Rodman. Dennis
Rodman.
Rodman.
Yeah, Dennis
Rodman. Actually, speaking of which, his daughter, Trinity Rodman, is now she's at Spirit. Washington Spirit. She's balling out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's interesting. You like Dennis Rodman.
Wow, yeah.
Wow. I also had a cousin who was in the NBA, but I was younger when I would go to his games. But I just like appreciate him as like he's like a motivational, like I just like his like lifestyle. Like he's a very motivational person, and after his season, he's kind of just gone into poetry and all this other stuff. So I guess like my family member is another favorite player of mine.
Yeah,
nice. So so you said your cousin do poetry. What about you? Is there anything you do to cope? You doing your games? Do you listen to music, poetry?
Well, I'm retired now, but I'd say like meditation, I guess. And just like music, loud music.
Okay.
What's your favorite mix playlist or whatever it is prior to a game, a big game? Like this is like the conference finals or the big like make it a leave it, that type of game.
Yeah, what do you listen to? 2 artists that we listening to.
Yeah, 2 artists.
Yeah.
What do you listen to? What's the songs?
Yeah.
I would say like any Lil Durk song.
Okay.
Or who else? Maybe Lil Baby. I don't really listen to it for the lyrics, but it's just like a good beats.
Yeah. the rhythm.